Good evening. My name is Dave Rosenstein. I'm a member of Community Board 8 and your host for tonight's show. Our first guest is David Menegon. David has been a public member of the Community Board's Transportation Committee before his April appointment. In September, David will retire as a full colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves after 30 years of service. As a member of its Civil Affairs Unit, he served 2 tours in Iraq. He has been active in local political organizations and has run for public office. He recently retired from Xerox after 25 years. David is a graduate of Central Connecticut State University. David, welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
How does trying to make a difference in New York City, where change comes very slowly as a rule, compare with trying to rebuild cities in war-torn Iraq?
There's some similarities. People want to have a better quality of life, and it's all about, civil society and improving it. The only real difference in Iraq is I did 2 tours there, 2003 and 2004, and I went back in 2008. And after the Saddam regime, it was decades of Iraqis being told what to do from Baghdad. So the challenge was how to get Iraqis to be empowered at the local level, having something similar to like a community board. If anything, New York City taught me how to build civil society from the ground up, and a lot of those expertise I brought over to Iraq. So teaching Iraqis how to have elections, how to have prioritize public works projects, how to budget for those. I had at one time over $1 billion budget. I had a full staff that looked at development for 2.5 million people. So we have to look at every aspect of making people's lives and improving it.
Now, you were a member of the Transportation Committee before you were appointed to the board. How did that come about? And maybe what's a public member? People may not know that there is such a thing.
There's 50 members of the community board, and there are committees such as transportation, youth and education, housing, seniors, and each has 2 vacancies for public members. Now, they're not voting members in the regular community board meeting, but they do vote in the committees. I've been a public member of the Transportation Committee for 3 years. What got me interested in that is, safety on the streets, having the buses run on time, making sure we have bike share, but have safe bike lanes. That's how I got involved with that. And I hope people get involved in the community board, look on the website and go to some community board meetings and perhaps volunteer to be public members.
Now, a public member becomes a public member how?
You have to go to 6 meetings. And after you go to 6 meetings, get to know the people on the committee, and you're usually appointed by the chair of the committee to the community board chairman, and it's approved. And after going to about a year of meetings, I held my hand up and said I'd volunteer to make a commitment, and it's been 3 years of good work, and I've enjoyed it very much.
Now, for somebody who's interested in serving on a community board, if they just fill out an application and send it to the borough president with no prior experience or dealing with the community board or familiarity with the community board, they have less of a chance, I would guess, than somebody who serves as a public member.
There's only 50 members, and you want to make sure that you get individuals on the community board that have good skills when facilitating meetings, understanding the issues in the community, be able to get consensus and work with people that would not ordinarily get along or work together. So I would recommend being a public member for a year, seeing how you like it, picking the issues that are important to you and make an impact on that as a public member. And then from there, you can make educated decisions on who you should have on the community board. The community is very fragile, and we need to have activists that understand the issues so we have a better quality of life, and that's what it's all about.
And we do have public members who are simply interested in parks or
That's right.
something else, and they serve as public members, but they don't have the time or the inclination to apply for appointment.
That's right. That's right.
So it's an opportunity that the public should know about. Aside from transportation, do you serve on other committees?
I do. I serve on the Youth and Education Committee, and I chose that because for over 15 years I've been a volunteer for an after-school program for children called the Knickerbocker Grays. It's actually the oldest after-school activity in the country, founded in 1881. The ages are for boys and girls 5 to 15, and they actually drill in the Park Avenue Armory on 68th Street. When the Conservancy took over the Armory, that's when I really started to get involved in politics in the community board meeting, because I wanted to make sure that, one, that the Conservancy took over the Armory and fixed it up, and they've done a great job, and 2, that the kids get to stay in the Armory. It's very important that we not just fix up the buildings in the community and landmark them, but also preserve the institutions that make the character of the Upper East Side. And Knickerbocker Grays for 130 years have done great work in building
Sounds fascinating. I wish we had more time to learn about it. Is it a quasi-military affiliated program? You mentioned drilling.
Yeah, it has military traditions. It was founded by mothers in 1881, and a lot of the first instructors of the children were veterans from the Civil War. And there's always been a commandant, a military person in charge of the Corps, and they call it a Corps, like at West Point. It's a Corps of Cadets. And it has some military traditions, but they focus on history, civil service. The cadets do the color guards, a lot of the patriotic societies here in New York City.
We've got to do a show on that sometime in the future. It sounds fascinating. You told a reporter back in 2013 when you were running for the State Assembly that your civil affairs work at the Army gave you a good perspective on long-term strategic planning for a community. How do we apply that? How would you apply that to this?
Well, it's very important to understand the issues. And if I was to make some similarities between Iraq and here on the Upper East Side, what we need is we have to make sure that we have safe streets. People are concerned about the bike lanes. I'm a supporter of the bike lanes and bikes, city bike, but we have to make sure that people know how to use the bike safely and adhere to traffic laws. Also, housing. You know, as we get to the completion of the 2nd Avenue subway, we're going to have seniors that are going to need affordable housing. So my concern is as the market rate goes up and rents go up, how are we going to think long term over the next 20 years to make sure that seniors get to stay in their homes? We have an elderly population, and it's getting older and older, so we have to make sure that the city is safe for seniors and senior friendly.
That's another subject that we have to go into more because there's going to be displacement as buildings are assembled. Old 5-story walk-ups along 2nd Avenue are assembled into development sites. Right. They're going to come down, and the people who live there are going to be moved out either gently or aggressively and are going to need alternatives if they want to continue to live in their community. What else haven't I asked you that might indicate some of your interests in serving in the community board and being active in the community?
I really learned a lot being a public member of the community board, and I really realized, and I've worked on political campaigns, I was a president of a political club, but the most important grassroots level is the community board. You have people who have lived in the community a long time. They understand the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood. They understand the needs for the seniors and for children. As we have an influx of more people moving into the city, how are we going to accommodate more seats for children in school and make sure that we have a middle school and high schools to follow those kids as they get older? Basically, the community board is the heart and soul that makes the city run. We're the advisory to the government officials and the city to make sure that we have a good quality of life.
Education committee, you serve on it.
Well, it's a very important committee. You know, since I volunteer twice a week with this after-school program for kids, I really have an understanding of what parents are concerned about. They want to have more choices. Some want charter schools. We need to invest more in our public education system. Parents need more choices. It's shocking to me that when kids go to even to pre-K, it's an audition process. And we have to have more options for parents and feel comfortable where they send their kids and have more cost-effective alternatives for them.
This has been great. Thank you so much for making time for us and coming in to talk about community board service.
David, it's a pleasure to be here. Hope to come back.
Wonderful. Our next new board member interview is with Glen Pandolfino. Glen is a New York City public school teacher and a union delegate at the High School for Environmental Studies on the West Side. He went to college at the University of Sydney in Australia. And there's a story there that we just don't have time to go into, but it's quite an adventure for a young person, where he took a master's in international affairs and economics. Closer to home, he's working on a master's in education at the College of Staten Island. Glen teaches social studies, advanced placement courses such as macroeconomics, and has a particular interest in working with at-risk students. At his school, he is active in a number of professional development teams, as well as its crisis intervention and school safety teams. Glen, when did you first become aware that there was such a thing as a community board?
One of my mom's friends was very active when we were kids, and I had heard about community board a lot. And I was always interested in hearing what she had to say about it. So recently, in the last year, I started going to some meetings, transportation and whatnot. Just wanted to see what was going on in the neighborhood, learn a little bit about it. And a colleague of mine suggested that maybe I should apply. So this year I decided to apply, not knowing whether or not I'd get in this time, but just for the experience of applying. So I went through the application process, which was pretty interesting. And here I am now.
You had an individual interview at the borough president's office?
Yes, well, there was the online application, and then there was a group interview, which was pretty interesting. They put us in all kinds of different scenarios. And then after that, I met with my councilman, Ben Kalos. I had an interview with him. And then I found out a little while later that I was accepted, and I was pretty happy about that. Gave me it's going to give me a real chance to really help my community, really become a part of the Upper East Side.
For viewers who are interested, half of the community board members are appointed directly by the borough president. The other half are appointed by the borough president on the recommendation of one of the two city council members who we have, which is Dan Garodnick and Ben Kalos in our particular area. Was there any particular issue? You're a teacher. Was education something that...
Well, that's one of the issues that I'm interested in. I'm interested in seeing services expanded for people. That's one of the things that got me interested in being involved with seniors. I'm interested in seeing that the quality of education is upward, not downward, that there's availability for all. I'm interested in a lot of different issues. I'm trying to learn as much as possible, being that I'm new to all of this.
Mm-hmm. The at-risk student caught my eye, because that's they're the most challenging.
Well, I always hold spots in my AP class for the at-risk. I think that given a chance, they'll flourish. I think if they're pushed a little bit, I think that it's a matter of pride for them. Over the years, I've worked with different children one-to-one in group settings and whatnot. One in particular comes back and he tutors for me. He's a junior in college. He comes back he's actually with me this summer. I'm teaching summer school classes. So he comes in twice a week to work with the kids one-to-one and in group settings with them. So it's really nice. I have a lot of students that actually come back and help. So there's never a need for me to find tutors and extra help.
And they say that one adult takes an interest in a kid, it can make the difference.
I worked on Wall Street before I became a teacher. It was nice, it was interesting, it was an education in itself, but teaching, there's magic in a classroom, there really is. I never have a bad day. Even a bad day is a good day. You learn every day. The kids keep you young and vibrant, keep you very passionate, keep you on your toes. It's a really interesting job, and I just love everything that I do, everything about teaching.
What other committees do you serve on?
I joined small business, I joined seniors, health and social services, and I guess I should join youth and education. I've been to a couple of meetings, and I will be joining that as well.
I found that I was on too many committees, and my attendance record suffered, and the borough president's office basically said, you're better off on fewer committees because we can all attend other committee meetings that we don't have, we're not particularly members of those committees, but we can attend. And by the way, the public should know that all of our committee meetings are open to the public.
Yeah, I deal all day long with youth and education. I want to have an impact on how education and policy is in the neighborhood that I live, as well as at my school. And I am involved in various committees at my school, at the school level. But what really interests me is really working with older people and making sure that they're aware of all the social services that are available to them. So it gives me kind of to both ends of the spectrum, working with the young and working with older people. So that's what I hope to achieve ultimately.
Are there any specific goals that you've targeted for this first term on the community board?
I'd like to learn as much as I can about the process. I'm hoping to get involved as much as possible as needed. Ultimately, I'd like to see that our schools are well funded, that our schools are using more and more technology, that our schools have the seats, and that there is choice available to parents. I also want to see that our older population know about all the services that are available to them. I think that's one of the issues, is that many don't know. So I'm hoping that I'll be involved with that. I'd also like to advocate a little bit for small business, especially when you see that it's been diminishing, over the years in communities. And I think that it gives variety, and it really gives you, I remember growing up in Brooklyn, how nice it was to know all the local shopkeepers. And I think that that's something really important. I think that's something that still exists on the Upper East Side. I know my dry cleaner very well. He doesn't ask me my name, and I don't have to take my ticket with me. And I really like that sense of community, and I really want to keep that. That's really important to me.
I think I mentioned that you were a union delegate. What does that involve?
I've been the union chapter leader at my school for about 4 years. Basically, I'm the voice of the teachers.
How many teachers do you represent?
About 60 teachers and other staff members, occupational therapists, psychologists, social workers, just basically to maintain that the contract, just to make sure that the contract is maintained between the UFT and the DOE. And I'm very lucky that I work very well with the administration at my school. It's very collaborative.
Well, from the larger resume that I saw, all of the teams that you're involved with at your school, obviously you're a people person.
I try to be,
well,
especially being a teacher.
It's pretty clear.
I would hope so. Yeah, the teams at my school are teachers and the administrators working together to basically try and, make the school work better. Try and engage the students, engage the parents, keep everything, make sure that all the Department of Education mandates, and that we're meeting all the criteria. Trying to make sure that we meet all the needs of our students. It's very important.
Your appointment began April 1st.
Yes.
What's been your experience so far? Do you have impressions that you want to share? Or?
Everything's been great. I'm learning a lot. It's a lot to take in. Meetings are interesting. I really enjoy listening to the public members, the public come in and talk. I'm learning a lot. And I feel like the first few months are really me being a student more than anything else, just kind of feeling my way through it. And I'm hoping to, at some point, be involved more and get more vocal and get more active. That's what my hopes are.
Your interest in safety and in public safety, have you ever attended a precinct council meeting?
No, I haven't yet.
The 19th precinct, which covers the same district as the community board, meets on the first Monday of each month, not in July and August. But it's worth attending, and the public is welcome. It's as open as community board meetings.
Okay, so that might be something that I should do, and that
at
might
least
be
once.
Yeah, well,
meet the bosses, as they call them.
The good thing might be that I'd be able to bring some information back to even my school safety meeting about that, that I would get from a meeting like,
Absolutely.
such a meeting.
Well, welcome to our community board.
Thanks for having me, and I'm really excited to be a member and to be a part. I really feel, having done this, I really feel more so, a member of the community, and it's been a great experience so far.
Well, thank you. You bring a lot to the table. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our third new board member interview is with Zoe Markowitz, a young woman who brings a very special perspective to our work on behalf of the 250,000 New Yorkers in Community Board 8. Zoe is an honor student at the Eleanor Roosevelt High School on East 76th Street. As a result of city council and state legislative action, she and other 16 and 17-year-olds became eligible this year for appointment to community boards. Zoe is a delegate to the Model United Nations. She's a volunteer working with seniors at a nationally known nonprofit group. She takes pre-college courses at Parsons on Saturdays. In the summer, she's an intern with Senator Chuck Schumer. She founded a program at her school, Students for Sensible Gun Laws, to help victims of gun violence and to lobby for more effective gun control laws. Okay, so most older New Yorkers don't know what a community board is. I didn't know until I was in my 30s. And few know the names of their local elected representatives. How did you learn about this whole world?
Well, I didn't know about it until this school year when my principal sent out an email to all of the students at school explaining that new legislation was passed to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to serve. So I looked into what he sent us, and I looked it up and saw that I was in Community Board 8. And I went to an interest meeting with Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, and there were a few other kids from my school that went, and I thought it was really interesting. We did an exercise, a problem-solving exercise, which really drew me to the community board because problem-solving is what we do in our community. And yeah, so I'm very happy that I've joined. Everyone's been very welcoming.
So you're the only student in your school, obviously. We only have two under 21-year-old, well, I'm not sure what the age normally would be, but I guess it's 18. So we have two members who are below that age.
Yeah. There are other 16-year-olds on other boards, though.
On other boards, yeah. Why did you want to become a community board member?
Well, I've always been interested in public service and government, and I just thought that the community board was a great way to get started with that, and local government is just a great way to see if I would like to take this as a career path. And all the people on the board are so interested in the community, they're so passionate, and those are the kinds of people that I want to be surrounded by. So meeting these people and just getting involved with the community and seeing if I want to further this, or if I decide I don't, it would still be a great experience, and I'll always remember the things I learned. So that's why I joined.
You're going to be a junior.
Yes.
So you've got another at least year or so before you know whether you're going to be applying outside of New York to college or here. If you remain in the city at
I don't think so.
Columbia, so we might have 2 years of service, and then you're going to go on to.
Well, I could always come back.
Absolutely.
Can have a little break.
Members have come on and gone on to.
Just a 4-year break, and I'll be back.
You're working for our Senator, Schumer, this summer.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I started at the end of June, and it was a little overwhelming at first, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm working with casework in the office and answering the phones, and everyone's so nice there, just how everyone's so nice on the community board, and all the other interns are great, and there's other high school students, so I can be with them too, and it's great.
Was that also an interview process where you had to apply and
Yeah, there's an application, and for me there was a phone interview. Some people might have in-person interviews, but that's the process that I went through.
I don't know what you're going to be doing next summer. You probably don't know either, but the DA's office also has an internship program in New York. I understand it's pretty good.
I would be definitely interested in that. I want to continue with this sort of thing. I don't know. I haven't thought about next summer yet.
Just, make a note of it. Cy Vance is a district attorney for this county. Now, it's only been a few months that you've been on the board, but do you have any impressions that you'd like to share? And any thoughts about this work?
I think I already touched on it a little bit, but just I was very, very nervous going to my first meeting and to the orientation, but and I thought because of my age, people would kind of look down on me and not respect me, but it's really been the opposite. So I have a great impression so far of all the people on the board, and everyone just has the community's best interest at heart. So I think that's great, and yeah. I'm enjoying it, and the meetings are interesting, and like Glenn said, when the public comes, I learn a lot about issues that I wouldn't know about, because maybe I live on 82nd, and maybe there's something going on 78th Street that I don't know because I don't walk that way, so you become aware of issues.
And with 250,000 people, that's a small city, and a good number of those are young people. So, you have a constituency who you can speak for better than any of the older members of the board who have to go and talk to their kids and ask them, what do you think about this? So you bring something to the table that wasn't there before.
I hope I can. I want to speak on behalf of kids I know, and similar, the whole city bike thing. I know a lot of my friends who feel certain ways towards that issue, so the youth brings a different perspective to it.
What committees interest you the most? I don't know if you've made final decisions about where you want to serve, but you probably selected some already.
Well, I'm really interested in the Youth and Education Committee, obviously, because I am the youth, but also the Health, Seniors, and Social Services Committee. I'm very interested in, especially because of my work with DeRote, which is the organization that aims to bridge the age gap between seniors and the youth in their community. And I think because of my work there, then I could bring something to that committee.
It's interesting that you and Glenn and David also all have an interest in working with young people and with seniors.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big interest. But also with the Seniors Social Services Committee and Health Committee, there's obviously other people that are represented as well.
We do have a pretty large older population on the Upper East Side. So things like accessibility for wheelchairs, for transportation, businesses are important. I was curious about the Model United Nations. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. You've been a delegate for several years now. Yeah,
well, I started in 9th grade, and I'm going to be in 11th grade next year. So it's just like, it's supposed to mock the United Nations, basically, and each student gets a partner. And, well, it depends on what conference you're in, but that's how it worked when I did it. And you get assigned a country. So I was assigned Belgium, and then you also get assigned a committee. So I was Women and Development, and you have to speak on behalf of your country in everything that you address. So if you disagree with your country, it doesn't matter. You have to speak from their point of view. So you work with the other countries in the room to come up with resolutions and to solve issues that are going on throughout the whole world.
So you've got to learn about the country.
Yeah, you do. Like, you get assigned your country a couple weeks before, or maybe a couple months before the conference, and then you do research and get prepared.
And this summer you're taking courses on Saturdays. I don't know how you find time for all of this work.
Well, not this summer, but I do that during the school year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this summer is already booked. It's very popular, but yeah, I do that during the school year, and I've done 1 fashion course and 2 fine arts courses.
At Parsons?
Yes.
Is that a particular interest of yours?
Yeah, I love art. I don't know if I would like to pursue it, or go to college for it, but it's something that I love, and it's a hobby that I've always done. And I just want to continue my classes at Parsons and see where it goes.
That's great. All I can say is thank you for taking time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.